Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the dust, where I got these niggas. King G, what it do? I'm in the field, you in the dust. Dragging them to dugout. In the W we trust. Don't hand me where the ducks out. Beat them till they rust. In the streets, there no time out. Yeah. I'm in the field, you in the dust. Dragging them to dugout. In the W we trust. Don't hand me where the ducks out. Beat them till they rust. In the streets, there no time out.
What's up? Check out them goodies down below, homie.
M.A. to the motherfucking D. Here you go, your boy the m.A.dGenius. Now today, man, we about to check out the history of the Black Panthers and how did they came into the Bloods and Crips street organization. There's going to be a brief history. Of course, it's a whole lot about this subject. So let's go to 1965 with the LA Watts riot, when a brother was pulled over and harassed and beaten by the police for basically no reason. And at that point, the black community got very tired. You know what I'm saying? The police brutality that was taking place. A year after that, October the 15th, 1966, you had Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seals, and Elbert Howard. They formed what was called the Black Panthers. And I would say their primary objective was protecting the community against police brutality. All right? And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the Black Panthers, so we ain't gonna go in depth with that subject. However, during that time of the Black Panther formation, there was kind of like the formation of the Crips was taking place. And a lot of them adopted the customs of the Black Panthers. They had the afros and the leather jackets. You know what I'm saying? They was greatly influenced by the Black Panthers. Before the Crips and the Bloods, you had street organization, SWATs, businessmen, gladiators, etc. And they was protecting their community against the lynch mob and police brutality as well. But mainly the lynch mob, which was a group of white boys who used to go around terrorizing, blacks and Latinos. And that brought the formation of the first Latino gang, which were called the Zoot Suits. But actually, the first gang members in the West Coast was a white gang called the Lynch Mob. And their terrorization, of people of color, developed black and Latino gangs. However, 1969, you could say that the Crips were officially established by Raymond Washington, founder of the Eastside Crips, and Stanley William, also known as Tukey, founder of the Westside Crips. And the acronym of Crips, because Crips is an acronym, and stands for Community, Revolution, and Progress. You know what I'm saying? Just take heed to them words. You have a community. That community have a revolution that's in progress. All right? And then you also got, I can't remember the other acronym offhand, but there was also another acronym as well. But however, the Crips, believe it or not, they had contracts in the early stages. They had contract with the government to reform the community. And during this stage, it was changed from community revolution in progress to community reformation in progress. You feel what I'm saying? So it was an activist organization. And after the government sort of infiltrated them, they kind of deviated from their original course. And it was sort of like terrorizing the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Robbing people for leather jackets, robbing stores, beating people up, and etc. And then Sylvester Scott, which was a former Crip, he sort of didn't like, the direction where the Crips was going. And even to this day, you got Crip gangs that's considered hustlers. You know what I'm saying? Then you got some, that's, considered players. Like in Los Angeles, you got the hustler Crips. And then you also got the Playboy Crips. So during the early stages of the Crips, before 1969, when it was actually known as the Crips, you had hustler gangs and you had player gangs. So Sylvester Scott, I'm pretty sure he was from one of the player Crip gangs, like the Crip gangs were kind of like playboys. So in 1969, he was sort of like, doing the same establishment of the Crips. He was sort of kind of like developing his own ideology. And his ideology became established and had a set identity in 1972 when he established what was known as the first blood-related gang in America, founded in Los Angeles, California, known as the PIRUs, which is an acronym for Pimps in Red Uniform, named after PIRU Street. You know what I'm saying? And I'm originally from Southeast San Diego. Southeast San Diego is like the gang-infested area of San Diego County. You also have North County, which is gang-infested, and East County. But however, the most popular gangs and the most oldest gangs in San Diego comes from Southeast San Diego. You feel what I'm saying? Which is not necessarily the South County, but pretty near that county. And the South County also have gangs as well. South County of San Diego is like very close to Tijuana, Mexico, because the busiest border in the world is in San Diego, California, in a place called San Isidro. You know what I mean? So, however, following the PIRUs, you had another blood-related gang coming out in 1972. All right? Well, let me go back a little bit. So the reason why I mentioned San Diego, California, because I grew up in Southeast, and the PIRUs in Southeast, a lot of them was pimping. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them was pimping. Some of them would tell me that they wasn't bloods, that they was pimps, gangster pimps. They used to tell me their acronym, Pimp in Red Uniform. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I can tell you about the PIRUs, from what I observed and for what I seen, that they some pimps. Them niggas pimps. Them niggas pimp. Majority of the pimps in San Diego or at least a good amount, is from PIRU. Skyline PIRU to be particular. Because the PIRU gang in San Diego is Skyline, the oldest PIRU gang. You also got O'Farrell. I believe they PIRUs as well. You know what I'm saying? And heard about a couple of other PIRU gangs, but Skyline PIRU, you know what I'm saying, they're like very well known and recognized, you know what I'm saying? The PIRUs in Los Angeles fuck with them, you know what I'm saying? I know, you know what I'm saying, they had interferences with the mob PIRUs. You feel what I mean? And the first Blood gang, when Blood, because you got to understand that PIRUs and BRIMS came before Bloods, right? So San Diego started getting involved into the Bloods during the same year the Bloods Incorporated, which was 1974. So the same year the Blood Incorporated, you already have Bloods gangbanging, you know what I'm saying, in Southeast San Diego. 1972, you had the first CRIP gang in San Diego, which was West Coast Crips. And I met one of the founders from there when I was young. His name was California Mike. He used to tell me how they, you know, basically walked 100 to 300 soldiers from Los Angeles to San Diego. And it have been said that that the West Coast Crips of San Diego have ties with the East Coast Crips. I can't say if that's necessarily true or not. But what I can tell you from my experience, because I grew up in that area, you know what I'm saying, of the West Coast Crips, the Rolling 20s and the Rolling 30s area. You know, I grew up there. I also grew up in a neighborhood Crip area of San Diego called the Rolling 40s. I lived all around Southeast, you know what I'm saying? I basically lived in every major gang neighborhood in Southeast except for Skyline PIRU area in the Emerald Hill Blood area. But anyways, from what I can tell you, there was Crips from LA, particularly East Coast Crips, that were fucking with the West Coast Crips hard.
Excuse me for that. Yeah, they was fucking with the West Coast Crip homies real hard.
And I also witnessed, you know, the Nutty Block, Compton Crip homies were fucking with the West Coast Crips. But they let it be known that, you know, they wasn't really tied with the West Coast Crips. They wasn't really, you know what I'm saying, allies with the West Coast Crips. But I know that the East Coast Crips, it was kind of unsure if there was alliances with the West Coast Crips or not. They never said that they wasn't. And I seen them out there putting in work with the West Coast Crips. So that could be a true notion. But to be honest with you, I don't think they're allies. But I could be wrong about that. You know, but going back, we have Big Country who started the BRIMS. And the acronym from the BRIMS is Black Revolution Independent Military Soldiers. So if you look at the acronym of the CRIP Community Revolution in Progress, you look at the acronym of the BRIMS, Black Revolutionary Militant Soldiers. You got to see that these were political organizations. You feel what I'm saying? But modernly, it's quite obvious that they're street organizations. And briefly, once I finish, you know, with the offsprings of the Black Panther, we're going to kind of get into how these political organizations became street organizations, just briefly, at least for this video. So they was incorporated in 1974. And my mom's side of the family, you know, they BRIMS. You know what I'm saying? So when I was a little kid, you know, before I could speak, that's what I was surrounded by. My uncles is quadruple OGs, you know what I'm saying, from BRIMS. And I got cousins who triple OGs and double OGs and OGs, you know what I'm saying? Cousins that's baby G's, you know what I'm saying? And young YGs, you know what I'm saying, which stand for young gangsters, you know what I'm saying? My uncles who quadruple OGs used to always ask me, and even some of the, you know, my OG cousins and shit, it's like, your whole family from the BRIMS. Why you're not? You know what I'm saying? Well, obviously, it's kind of like niggas bang with the motherfuckers who they, you know, consider their friends. You feel what I'm saying? Because I moved from the BRIMS area at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? Into another section of Southeast San Diego. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, my homies that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? Since I was in elementary school, you know, they wasn't from the BRIMS, you know what I'm saying? So you tend to roll with the niggas you grew up with. You know what I'm saying? But the founder of Big Country, I believe the same Big Country who started the BRIMS in LA, also came and established a chapter in San Diego. You know what I'm saying? So San Diego's like the sister of Los Angeles gangbanging. You feel what I'm saying? The cousin would probably be like Sacramento, you know, Orange County, you know, Fresno. Those would be the cousins. You know what I'm saying? Because LA is like the biggest city in California. San Diego, the second biggest city in California. You feel what I'm saying? And a lot of gangs in Southeast San Diego were established, directly established from gang members from LA, and was sort of like an official chapter, you know what I'm saying, of them gangs and shit. So that was around 1972, as a matter of fact. Black Revolutionary Independent Militant Soldiers Incorporated. Then you have the co-founder T. Rogers from the Black Peace Stones, Bloods, out of South Central, originally from Chicago. I believe you had a brother from Black Peace Stones in Chicago. You know what I mean? So you also know that there's a Black Peace Stone in Chicago. So Black Peace Stone Bloods in the early stages, you know, if I'm correct, had ties and allies, you know what I'm saying, with the Black Peace Stones out of Chicago. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of the members from Belize, you know, which is Central America, city right below Mexico, got a high population of people of African descent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Belizeans also Hoover Crips. You know what I'm saying? And I believe Fruit Town, a lot of them homies of Belize. You feel what I'm saying? Fruit Town PIRUs, if I'm correct. I think they PIRUs. But he co-founded the Bloods in 1974, which stand for Brotherly Love Override Oppression and Destruction. brotherly love override oppression and destruction. As you can see from the acronym, you know what I'm saying, that's like another political organization. So if you look into the history of any political organization, black organization, you know, you had the COINTELPRO, sort of infiltrating these organizations and stirring up conflict. So like what they did with the Black Panthers and I think it was the Push organization with Karenga. I believe it was the Push organization. And basically they kind of turned the Black Panthers against the Karenga organization by, you know, drawing animated cartoon characters on newspaper of Karenga, basically supposedly mocking the Black Panthers, and the Black Panthers supposedly mocking Karenga. So they used to look at the newspaper and they used to confront each other about it. And the Karenga organization be like, yo, what are you guys talking about? We didn't do that stuff. The Black Panther like, yo, look, it's in the newspaper. And FBI agents admit this, you know what I'm saying, that they have done this. I believe you could get the information from Bastards of the Party by the big homie from Anthem Park Bloods, APB, out there in Los Angeles. I believe it's South Central. But and of course, the Karenga used to confront the Black Panthers like, yo, cause you thought we put this stuff in the paper about y'all? You gonna put shit on the paper about us? You feel what I'm saying? And even before this, 1920, you have Marcus Garvey and W. Du Bois. They turned them against each other. And what's sicking me about the conscious community today is that they know about this shit. But however, they fell victim of these same tactics that these motherfuckers use to break up the Bloods and the Crips, to turn the Black Panthers against the Karenga organization. You know what I'm saying? The Garveyites, which was Marcus Garvey, against, you know what I'm saying, W.D. Du Bois. They use tactics to divide them and have them conflict with each other. And if you've been looking at the conscious community around, I would say 2016, 2017, maybe the end of 2015, seen there was a lot of conflict, a lot of bumping heads. Brother wasn't debating, they were doing more to debate, and they were giving each other death threats. You know what I'm saying? Nigga was going as far as calling the law enforcement on each other. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, how can you look at that history and see the tactics that they use to have us conflicting with each other and still fall victim of that shit? Which is one of the reasons why I dissing myself in the conscious community, because I'm like, yo, y'all niggas should be a lot smarter than this shit. Obviously, you know, this fucking pale beast could run the same game on niggas and niggas still fall for it. If you really look at what they have done historically, their tactics really haven't changed much. The whole concept of the tactics really haven't changed much. I don't see why niggas keep on falling for this shit. Feel what I'm saying? But anyways, so they had agents infiltrating the Bloods, Crips as well. And first, these niggas was fist fighting. You listen to the old G's, go to I think it's Kev Mack. Check out Kev Mack channel. He got a lot of content with the OGs. Check out Street Games. and Street TV. Check out them YouTube channels. They got a lot of content, what I'm saying, with OGs and YGs and BGs, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to hear shit coming from the triple and quadruple OG, go to Cass Mac channel. You feel what I'm saying? But they'll tell you, nigga was squabbing. It wasn't even about shooting, you know what I'm saying? It was just about squabbing, you know what I'm saying? It was like a sport, you know what I'm saying? Niggas wasn't fighting to kill each other. Niggas wasn't trying to destroy each other. You know what I'm saying? It was just a sport. You feel me? If you look at the 50s and the 60s, because they said men during that time had more testosterone levels than men's of today. So during that time, niggas was real fucking rough during that time. Not just in Los Angeles, but you look at fucking Chicago, you look at Baltimore, you look everywhere. Nigga was real rough that day. You know what I'm saying? Them niggas used to box, nigga, like little kids today play video games. Like these days, these little niggas gonna fight each other right next to each other on the fucking controller. That's how little niggas do today. Or on a fucking tight board, you know what I'm saying? That's how they fighting each other like that. You know what I'm saying? My era, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we fought a lot too. But them niggas in the 50s and the 60s, nigga, they was really fighting. However, these motherfuckers infiltrated and start shooting. And then, since then, what became a street organization, a political organization became a street organization. Now, I'm pretty sure you're saying, okay, there was a political organization, then, why were they doing a lot of fist fighting? We gotta understand, the CRIP was the first to be infiltrated. They were infiltrated not too far after, their establishment in 1969. They wasn't infiltrated not too long afterwards. Because they sort of reformed. Because what became CRIP, Community Revolution in Progress, became Community Reformation in Progress, which means that they want to reform them. So something happened down the line where, they started terrorizing the neighborhood, beating people, jumping people, causing a lot of havocs. So not only that the blood organizations had to establish themselves to protect the community from the police, but they also had to establish themselves to protect themselves from the CRIPs. You know what I'm saying? Who had become oppressive criminals. Now we had the BRIMS, Black Revolutionary Independent Military Soldiers. They were independent from the CRIPs. You feel what I'm saying? And then you also had another formation who didn't like the oppression of the CRIP, which was the Blood, brotherly love. A gang of brothers that overpowered oppression and destruction. Because whether you like it or not, the CRIPs started to become oppressive towards, other blacks in certain communities. And they was also pretty destructive. Read the history. Raymond and Tookie Washington, they was going around beating everybody ass. From Compton all the way down to South Central. Throughout Inglewood, all around Los Angeles County. You know what I'm saying? Just the same way why the businessmen in the Slaughsons, there was a political organization, but they fist fought, against, the lynch mob. But they had direct ties with the Black Panther because Bunchy Carter, was a Slauson member. And not only that he was a Slauson member, but he was directed to start a Black Panther chapter in Los Angeles from the Black Panthers in Oakland. So he was a real Black Panther. You feel what I'm saying? Just like I said, back in the days, niggas had more testosterone levels than niggas do these days. These days, niggas get on the fucking YouTube, you know what I'm saying, and Facebook trying to start a revolution, you know, talking shit, you know what I'm saying, about their enemies and all that shit. But you don't see a fist fight, you don't see none of that shit. Back in the days, you know what I'm saying, like, during them times, nigga wasn't just talking that shit. They would beat their fucking enemies to death. The Black Panther, you seen them, they had them guns. Them niggas busted them shits. You seen the story? They busted at law enforcement. They busted at any motherfucker who they pose as a threat. You know what I'm saying? What political organization doing that shit today? You know what I'm saying? That will bust at anybody. They don't give a fuck if you law enforcement, you military. They don't give a fuck. You fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? They busting your motherfucking head. Not on no street shit, but on some political shit. But they political at the same time. You feel what I'm saying? So, just like I said, the Bloods and the Crips were offsprings. They were little kids of the Black Panthers. So, you know, of course, them niggas couldn't have guns, so they will fight. They'll fight for their shit. One of them white boys called them a nigger. They whooping their motherfucking ass. You know what I'm saying? The businessmen and the slots and the gladiators. You know what I'm saying? Niggas fought. They didn't do all that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't too much of this. You call a nigga a bitch, let's go. Even in my era, if you look at a nigga longer than 5 seconds, they'll be like, yo, what the fuck you looking at? And that nigga be ready to fight your ass. You call that nigga a bitch or anything, that nigga running up to whoop your ass. It wasn't no back and forth, nigga, for not even 1 minute. For some reason, the testosterone level in males is going lower and lower because I'm telling you, man, I'm an 80 baby and a 90 kid, homie. And what I seen when I was growing up and what I seen today, homie, I'm gonna keep it motherfucking 100 with you niggas, B. $180. This generation is nowhere near as tough as my generation, B, and that's just the fucking truth, my nigga. You don't see little niggas on the streets, you know what I'm saying, fighting. You don't see dead bodies on every corner and in the fucking alley. You know what I'm saying? When I was a little kid, nigga, you know, nigga was slumped the fuck out in the alleys. Nigga was slumped out, you know what I'm saying, behind dumpsters and shit. You know what I mean? Nigga was in fucking dumpsters. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see that shit today. Yeah, niggas shooting in a lot of shootings in California that they don't talk about, right? In fucking Chicago and Detroit. But still, it wasn't nowhere near that 90. You ask any motherfucker, homie, who grew up. Niggas who were born as far as the 60s, niggas who were born in the 70s, niggas who were born in the 80s. Ask some motherfuckers, what was the roughest fucking decade, homie? It was the 90s. Cause not only that nigga will fight your ass, but nigga will shoot you the fuck up too. The most gunplay was in the 90s. You feel what I'm saying? Like in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, them niggas had more testosterone, but it was less gunfight. You gotta be more of a man to fight a motherfucker than to shoot a motherfucker. More of a man to fight a motherfucker than to shoot a motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? But you still had niggas who will fucking squabble with you in the 90s. You feel what I'm saying? But then you also had a lot of cowards shooting. So that's why it was so wild, because there was just a lot of fights and a lot of shooting. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, man, you know what I'm saying? And just a brief history of the Bloods and the Crips, offsprings of the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? M.A.D. M.A.dGenius. If you don't subscribe, you a bitch!